Back in the Founders Club in Tri-Cities Coliseum, Kirk Williamson and Tom Lathan, and joined now by Americans coach Rick Kozuback. And this was a game I know that you worried about a little bit before the game, the possibility of maybe being a little flat.
Well, we were very concerned about the game. I think we were more concerned as the first period started and progressed, and then when the first period over, I think we really had some concerns. It's really difficult, and I'm not trying to belittle any team, but it's really difficult to play the best team in the nation one night and beat them convincingly and get psychologically prepared to play the worst team in the nation the next night when you know, I mean, you've just come off a very emotional victory and you had to play really hard against the best team. And so for our guys, I know that we knew going in it was going to be difficult. Whether they believed it or not, I think was a different story, but we knew it was going to be tough. And in fact, it was. It was a grind, and it was not a pretty game to watch. It was, we made the comment many times, like watching paint dry. They weren't very exciting at all, and we sort of felt it was going to be that way.
The tempo of the game seemed a lot slower. Victoria didn't want to rush up and down the ice, and our guys seemed pretty well content to let it be that way for a while.
Well, again, our guys, if you don't challenge them, most often they don't rise to the occasion. We play the very best when somebody really forces us, or when we have the ultimate respect for a team. We played really well, I thought, against Seattle because we knew that they were a good team. We had respect for them. We played really well against Kamloops because they had respect. We played well against other teams because they challenged us. On the eastern swing, I mean, when Medicine Hat came at us and hit us hard for the first period, our guys rose to the occasion and played really well. Same thing in Prince Albert. They played really well when they were challenged. Those are the two variables. If you don't wake us up, we seem to lay in bed and sleep.
Let's see if Tom Lathan has someone with a question or two for Coach Rick Kozuback.
Is Bill Lindsay under that mob? We're going to have to assess a boarding penalty here. Pretty look at that. All right, there's a question for Coach. Let me see if I can get around back there. Meet me halfway here. I feel like Phil Donahue.
We're coming to you live from the Founders Club in Tri-Cities Coliseum. Tom, go ahead.
I was really interested to see Scott Farrell in the lineup from our old Spokane buddies there. What was the trade for Scott Farrell?
Scott Farrell's situation was he was fairly unhappy originally in Spokane and had been dealt to Lethbridge. And in the process of going to Lethbridge, he actually did play a couple of games in Lethbridge, but wasn't very happy there, and returned back to Spokane and was available. And through the efforts of Al Patterson, particularly, and Ron Dixon, they were able to convince the Spokane people to release him to us. I'm not at liberty to say who we had to release for him, but it wasn't a player on our roster at this time. It's a player on a protected list that we felt we could move at this time.
Hey, Kirk, another question over here.
How do you decide which goalie is going to play the game?
That's a good question.
Which goalie is going to play in which game? Yeah. Primarily, we're going with the person who has the hot hand. At this particular time, because our team had been sort of in the doldrums, we felt we needed to stick with the guy who was playing the best. Donnie Belishin has played very well up until this point, but Ole got hot. We thought he got hot and started to play really well, and once he got going, it sort of seemed to pick up the rhythm of the team. So at this point, we're saying we're probably going to go with him for a little while yet, but that's not to say that Donnie Belishin isn't going to play tomorrow or Wednesday in Spokane. At this point, we're going with Ole for one game at a time. We play it one game at a time. But if there's a breakdown at any moment, we're going to, we don't have any hesitation in switching.
How do you feel when a player gets a game misconduct?
Well, obviously we don't feel very good because it takes a player out of our lineup. And I don't know if you're familiar with the rule, but the rule is if you accumulate 3 game misconducts, then at the point at which you accumulate 3 game misconducts, you have to sit out a game. So Greg Spenrath's sitting out one now. Danny Schustanka had to sit one. We've got a number of guys that are very close. When you get your next game misconduct, you sit out 2 games. You get your next one, you sit out 3, and it's progressive. So we're at a critical point. We don't like at all the fact that some guys are at a real tough position. If Stu Barnes is at 2, as I said, Danny Schustanka's already got 3. If he gets another one, it's 2 games. So we don't like it very much.
What is the worst and the best ref you've ever had?
The worst ref and the best ref we've ever had?
Might be this. Could it be the same guy, Rick?
Yeah, very well may be the same guy. That's a good way to answer that. I'm not sure I can answer that. A lot of times I don't say favorable things about the referees and probably shouldn't say anything. So we've had some good officials. We've had some games where the officials are like our players, forget to to come prepared for the game, and just like the rest of us. So I'm going to say the referees are capable of making mistakes like anybody else.
Rick, would it be fair to say that the referees, the regular Western Hockey League referees that we see in here 4 or 5 times a year or more, are more likely to be good, consistent referees than people that they bring in from another league?
Yeah, I think so. That's a very fair statement. Those people at least have been in the league. They know the players. They see the same faces time after time. The players know how to respond to their calls, and there's less variable. Yeah.
Tom?
When the Americans win a game like they did last night to a #1 team, do you think they sometimes get their hopes up too high and kind of slack off in some of the games and think, oh yeah, we'll win again like that, like they did last night?
Well, I think that tonight was one of those games where they thought they had a real good game last night, and they did, and then they just can't psychologically get ready to play the next night. That's a real good point.
How long have you been a coach?
15 years. Sometimes you'd never know it, but I feel it.
I would like to know why Colin Ruck hasn't been playing and what happened to Vandersloot.
Colin Ruck, we're at a position where we have 8 defensemen right now, and very much the same as with our goaltenders. We're playing the guys that we feel have actually played the very best. Colin has played really well up until this point. He had 1 bad game in Portland, and we've unfortunately had to make a substitute, and then we put Scotty Farrell came in, so we played him a little bit more. But that's, again, it's not saying that he isn't capable of playing and won't play. It just, we were going with the guys that were hot at that particular time. Adrian Vandersloot was released from the team on Monday, and he's gone to play Division II or Division III semi-professional hockey in Holland.
Coach, I'd like to just make one comment, not a question. I would like to say that here in the Tri-Cities, I think we've got some of the finest fans after being on the Eastern Swing in the whole league. And if we can just bottle that up and send that along with you on these trips, I think we're going to win, and I think we're going to go all the way and take the Memorial Cup.
I hope so.
It sure was nice on the Eastern Swing to have a busload of fans show up at those 5 games. Right?
It's fantastic. We really do. I think there's no question we have the best fans in the league, and we're proud to be here and hope that we can bring something good to the area.
Got time for a couple more questions for Americans coach Rick Kozuback.
When Stu gets penalized, what do you feel like?
Choking him? Oh, no.
Well, when he gets penalties, we feel the same way with him as we do with anybody else. First of all, I have to understand why he got the penalty. If it was his fault, then we obviously don't feel very good. Sometimes it's not always his fault. Good players attract a lot of attention, and sometimes the referees are more prone to look at the kinds of things that they do. So sometimes we get mad at him. Other times we turn the other cheek and try to brush it off. So it varies. You know, I don't like to see him in the penalty box, because when he's in the penalty box, he can't play the offensive game for us.
Rick, there was a point in tonight's game that might illustrate that, where a guy got behind Rob Krause, starting right straight in on Ole Kolzig with nobody else there, and Rob turned, and about all he could do was haul the guy down, and he did that rather than give him a free shot on a goaltender.
Right, and those things happen. You know, sometimes there's a miscue, and rather than allowing a complete breakdown and letting them go to the net, and a lot of times that's just what they call an allowable or a good penalty. I'm not really sure that the word good should apply, but that is one of those.
How are you guys going to improve on your road games?
Have more fans on the road, more vocal people, and and hope that the other team forgets to show up.
Well, there's a good chance Wednesday night in Spokane, in the Spokane Coliseum. Coach Rick Kozuback, thanks for joining us tonight in the Founders Club Lounge. Tom Lathan, thanks to you.
Thank you.
We'll kind of look forward to doing this maybe next Sunday night when...
it's a good question. I don't know either.
Whoever it is, we'll beat them.
That's right. And again, the final score, the Tri-City Americans beating the Victoria Cougars 7-2, wrapping up a weekend of wins over the...